Alright, so we're back now, and now I want to go over really four reasons why I don't believe that Sasha Banks needs to go back to WWE with this new change of creative, or at least with the head of creative now being Triple H. And to be perfectly honest with you, it's not even so much that it's just because it's WWE. I honestly feel as though this also applies to AEW as well, although if she were to somehow free herself up from her contract, if she hasn't already, then maybe something can be done, but I really don't think that that has to happen, and I'll go into reasons regarding AEW later on in the video. But the first thing that I want to start with is the fact that just the biggest reason why she wound up leaving in the first place, well, just pretty much the biggest reason why everybody's suddenly super happy in the community, and the fact that even though Vince McMahon has officially announced his retirement, he will be around to some degree during the transitional period. He's still going to have his fingerprints on things for, I would guess, maybe a handful of months at most. We'll see. I mean, it really, really depends on how they go about this whole transition or whatever they call it. But the fact that they've already named Triple H the head of creative is going to go an incredibly long way as far as that's concerned. And again, as I mentioned in the previous video, I think it's going to start showing tonight. It did a little bit to some degree Friday night on SmackDown, but it just wasn't overly noticeable. I didn't feel like 1,000% different about the show itself, but who knows? Maybe that winds up being the case within the next 32 some odd minutes, one way or the other. I mean, that's certainly something I am looking forward to more than anything else. But I think with all that being the case, you really got to get that residue of Vince and Laurinaitis and Kevin Dunn and really just whoever else you want to throw into that category. You want to be able to have that completely washed out from everything that is right now, because it's just people still are going to have that bad taste in their mouth. And hell, they're even looking at it like, oh, what if in about maybe 6 months to a year or so, or however long it may be, Vince decides to come back, depending on how things are going. And honestly, I see that being a very realistic scenario, and if nothing else, because just it's the first time that I can think of that Vince has actually broken away from his job. I mean, it's been said before, the guy's never taken a vacation, never really taken a day off, you know, works in a godly schedule, which, I mean, after all those years of doing that, day in and day out, I can't imagine that he's anywhere near the same as he once was. So it really only makes sense that him retiring has happened the way that it does. It's just, God, why couldn't this have happened sooner? But it is what it is. That's a whole other conversation for another time. I'm not going into that anytime right away, or maybe ever again. I really don't want to. But yeah, I mean, as soon as all of that's pretty much aired itself out, I think that would be a great time to look at bringing Sasha Banks back. It would certainly be a great time to bring Naomi back. I think you would have a more realistic chance of bringing Naomi back a little bit sooner, especially given that she's married to Jey Uso, or one of the Usos. I'm pretty sure it's Jey, but I'm pretty sure I'll correct myself on that in another video, or maybe you guys can do it in the comment section down below. But really neither here nor there on that. Another reason why they don't need to be doing that is, well, really, you've got some storyline going on right now that actually does pretty well with Sasha not in the picture right now. And I think the more that you continue to do that, especially for the sake of building up the likes of a Liv Morgan, I mean, why not? And then you've also got other female stars like a Raquel Rodriguez, once Raquel Gonzalez. You also have Shotzi, who honestly, we haven't really seen a whole lot of in the last couple of weeks, so it's going to be interesting to see how she's brought back into the fold. And then there's also the matter of someone that we haven't heard from in months. And there was talk actually months ago that she was going to be brought up to the main roster, that being Io Shirai. Now, there's no way you can convince me that's not going to happen now because, again, Trips is head of creative now. So that makes a huge difference in and of itself right there. But yeah, look at Io Shirai coming back around. Look at, oh goodness, I'm brain locking on who I'm thinking about. Uh, Goodness, it's gonna come back to me. But look at Aaliyah. She's been on TV a lot more, so you could see some development for her. Hopefully, you'll see a bit more than what we've been getting out of her and Lacey Evans. I'd like to think that could be something good. Um, um, there are like a crap ton of women whose names are coming to mind right now, and for whatever reason, brain lock is a thing with me. So I'm gonna try to iron that issue out, and hopefully we'll get that to where I won't have that be a thing in videos anymore. But you've got that. You've even got the prospect of Toxic Attraction. A lot of people are talking about them coming along after SummerSlam, and I think that would be a great idea. Interestingly enough, you just had Zoe Stark come back and win the 20 Women Battle Royal last week on NXT, which a lot of people kind of have a raised eyebrow to that, but I feel like that's a good thing too. So you build people like Zoe Stark up. She's probably going to wind up taking the title off of Mandy. And then you have the call up, all three. Her, JC, and Gigi all on the main roster, probably on SmackDown for all we know. And there you have a little bit more ammo to really bring back and really enhance the women's tag division on the main roster, not necessarily NXT, which really interesting to see what happens with that story, i.e. Cora Jade, Roxy or Roxanne Perez, so on and so forth. Looking forward to that as well. But yeah, just again, a wealth of other talent that we need to start bringing more into the forefront. So the moment you do bring back a Sasha Banks, they'll be on par to be what Bianca has been, or at least to some degree. And you just wind up deepening that women's pool, and that just does wonders for, just TV in general and everything else that you could think of, brain lock again. But anyways, third reason is that, again, just going back into storylines and other talent, timing is everything, really, and you gotta have this sort of thing happen at the right moment. If nothing else, my ideal scenario for Sasha to be brought back, if you're going to bring her back to WWE, would have to be at the Royal Rumble. You get the biggest pop by far when you have the surprise entrance, and she would definitely be one of the biggest pops, definitely since Edge from a few years ago, right before we got hit with the pandemic. I mean, my God, and did we need it that day. Let me not go into that. God rest the soul of Kobe and Gigi. That's all I'll say on that one. But yeah, I mean, you got to really time that one correctly, especially with the way that you're developing stars. I mean, for all you know, you got a good babyface champion in Liv, but, maybe have her be a heel or have her still be such a great face. You get the pop and the prospect of her and Sasha somewhere down the road. I mean, either way, we're talking money. We're talking big money with that kind of move. So, again, timing is everything. That's reason number 3 right there. I know it could probably be intertwined with reason number 2, but who cares? It's my video. I do this how I want. Damn it. Anyway, no, in all seriousness, fourth and most important reason more than anything else, she doesn't have to. She doesn't have to. And again, this applies just as much to AEW or really any other company. I mentioned AEW because they're the only other company on national television right now on anywhere near the scale of what WWE is. So obviously that's the most likely scenario of where we would see her next, if not with WWE. But more than anything else, she doesn't need to be there. And where AEW is concerned, they got so much that they need to clean up on that. I'll touch on that in another video. But while she would actually help with that in a lot of ways and almost seemingly turn things around, maybe not necessarily in an instant, but I would like to think fairly short order one way or the other. But she would definitely be a huge game changer for them, and I think that was what was being anticipated before all of this happened with Vince. But again, that's something that we'll find out about down the road. But either way, she really doesn't need to, just because I think that similar to the Jonathan Gresham situation, which Jonathan Gresham, excuse me, both of them, are in a similar boat, so to speak, if not the exact same boat. They're both proven commodities and have, if nothing else, held down their respective divisions and or companies for the better part of the last few years. And really, when it boils down to it, whatever they do should be entirely up to them. They are both a grown man and a grown woman, so they can do whatever they want, but again, they've earned it. They've more than earned it. So, if anything, the shot is entirely theirs to call respectively, and it's just not even as if they're dependent upon the business the way that the business has become dependent upon them. And when you look at it across the board, that's just the reality of it. I mean, I can't see any other way of looking at it at this point. And for Sasha, the money's going to come one way or the other, and especially if she winds up transitioning to Hollywood the way I think a lot of people would be more inclined to anticipate more than anything else. That's what I felt like was going to be the case. I honestly didn't see that much of a scenario where she would wind up with AEW, but the more I think about it, she still loves the business. She still loves what she does as a wrestler. So if she's not going to be in WWE, where else is she going to be? It's as simple as that. But the reality is, she doesn't have to be there any sooner than what she deems necessary. And that's all that matters at the end of the day. She is the boss after all. Nonetheless, I'm going to go ahead and leave it at that. Let me know what you guys think down below. Do you see Sasha Banks coming back anytime right away, or are you like me? Can she take her time? And why not let all the other stars grow first? I mean, that's really all I'm saying on that. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. If you enjoyed, like, share, subscribe. Catch y'all later.